Welcome back, listeners. I'm Robin Black, and this is It's All About Healing podcast. Today's episode, Anxiety and Connection with Dr. Lumi Frundi. Dr. Lumi, how are you?
I'm doing well, and you?
I'm doing well myself. So I'm excited to hear definitely about this anxiety because I know as society, we all struggle with it. So tell us a little bit about yourself first.
So I am a pediatrician and integrative medicine provider, and I'm also a mom for an 8-year-old daughter. And so I've been practicing for almost 10 years, and over the years of practice, I've come to understand that stress is the underlying trigger to a lot of chronic disease situations. So I eventually created Generational Wellbeing, which is an online platform that really helps parents create those healthy habits to help raise thriving kids.
Okay, nice. So I know you're a pediatric nurse, but is this only for children or does this stem into adults as well?
So when I went through residency and med school and everything, we did all pediatrics, right? But in real life, I give the parents the advice. So I found myself talking to a lot of parents because they're the parents who are actually going to help to put in that action plan or whatever thing I'm prescribing for the kids. It has to be through the parents. It can't treat the kid alone. So eventually I started broadening my scope to talk about the child, but in that scope of a family, because they can't do it by themselves. You can't tell only one person to eat healthy and everyone else is eating any which way they want to. It's not sustainable. So yes, I'm a pediatrician, mostly kids, but I talk to families. I pretty much treat the whole family.
That makes sense because I know I'm guilty of it. It's like I know my children need to eat healthy, and I'm like always focusing it on them and make sure you eat this, make sure you eat that. But then it's like I don't do that. It is like you got to lead by example. So like, how do you help families in that situation?
Exactly what you just said. You got to model it, right? Mm-hmm. Whether it's anxiety, whether it's picky eating, whether it's exercise and stuff, a lot of times we'll sit there, we talk to the kids, well, you need to spend this amount of time out. You have to eat your fruits and vegetables. But usually the biggest thing or the biggest resistance to change is that one parent in the home who is not in line with that plan. Is that dad who brings in all the candy and chips and cookies in the house and expects this kid to have that willpower to say no to a bag of chips or cookies. But we all know that once it's there in that environment, it is fair game because that kid only sees the bag of chips because that's what they like. We adults, we do the same thing. We just eat and eat until it's done. So usually you start out with the parent. Like I said, when I started out with pediatrics, but I find that I have to speak more so to the parent because until they see you do the things that you're recommending for them to do, they're not going to do it. We do what we see, not what we hear, right?
Yes. Oh my goodness. That is... So what about this processed foods? Like knowing which ones are good, which ones are bad. I mean, everyone's looking for that microwavable approach. We just want something quick and easy. So what do we do for all the quick foods that are the best, should I say?
And I think that's one of the hardest part with parenting at this age, right? In this time, we're so busy. There's a lot of marketing going on. Every next big thing is the best thing for you, right? Mm-hmm. But with the research that's showing like the processed foods, the processed meats and stuff, it's increasing your risk of whether it's high blood pressure, diabetes, and even cancer. Then you have to now start looking at, and then there's so many things that is hard as a parent for me to even go in there and say, I'm like, okay, I'm going to look at this label and try to figure out what is good. So typically what I recommend is you have to first plan. If you don't plan your week ahead of time, you will fall into that, oh, I'm tired. Because sometimes you leave from work and like, I don't want to think about what I'm going to cook for dinner. It's easy to just drive by, pick something else, something really quick and easy, microwave it, and dinner's done, and we're good. So if you don't plan, you're going to end up with that repeated cycle. So first thing I say is, even if it's a Saturday or Sunday, I use that to plan. Where I plan meals, I cook all my meals over the weekend. So I'll do like three meals. I freeze and just rotate throughout. And then you have that 1 or 2 days that's like a grace day, right? For
Mhm.
that day where you're walking so late, or that game day where you don't have that time to really sit or come back home and then go back out and stuff. So it's not, because we want it to be easy on you, because if it's easier on you, it's sustainable. But then
Right.
you also want to have that flexibility where if I have to go and pick up a kid from soccer practice and football practice and come back home, and we don't have that time in between to sit down, we have that freeway. So it's like occasional, not like this is how we eat every day.
Yeah. That's that's difficult. Like especially when you're just constantly on the go because you're always going to look for quick food. So if we're not buying foods out, what would you just kind of suggest? Just two quick meals that you can probably kind of whip up together that would be a healthy meal.
Okay, so spaghetti is a thing that I do. It's
Yeah.
easy, right?
Uh-huh.
And I will do, so that's one thing that every now and then I will always have it, or like tomato, a thing of tomato.
Mhm.
I don't buy the spaghetti pre-made whatever. I buy tomatoes, I do it, but then I will always, every time I get in the kitchen, I don't make only for that day or for that week.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
batch it and I freeze it. So it's
Mhm.
an easy thing where all you have to do is boil the spaghetti. And if you have the tomato sauce in there, I add olive oil in there. I know it's healthy oil. I cook with ginger, garlic. There's so many, you don't have to peel it and crush it and whatever. You just add those herbs and seasonings that will add the flavor. But you're not sitting in the kitchen for like 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah.
You can throw chicken in the oven, throw olive oil and seasonings in there while you're doing other things with your kids, and the thing is cooking. You
Yeah.
can throw stuff in the crock pot and let it go throughout the day and come back. So it's about, because sometimes when you start looking at it over, oh my goodness, it can be overwhelming. But when
Mhm.
you sit back and start thinking, like, what do we really eat? And how can I really prep this thing? It becomes easier. The first time is difficult, but
Mhm.
as you start doing it, you start finding easier recipes. It becomes second nature. Just
Yeah.
like a second nature to drive through. By the time you get it through the line, it's like 30 minutes. You may just come back in and throw the chicken in there while you're taking a shower. And by the time you're out, the dinner is ready. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So, and then I know you said with children in connection, and sometimes even their picky eating could be from anxiety. Can you kind of elaborate on that?
Yeah. So most of picky eating is actually anxiety, right? I would start prefacing that. So a lot of times, developmentally, once you start out with kids, we start introducing foods between 6 months and a year, just depending on when they're ready. And
Mhm.
there's that window where they want to eat, eat, eat. That window where they reach for everything. They're so obsessed. They just love food, right? And that's the window where we recommend providing variety, different textures as much as we can, right?
Mhm.
Because after that, there is that slower way in the first 2 years, this rapid growth. After that, it slows down a little bit. Now, in that toddler phase, when they're slowing down, sometimes though, they're not eating as much as they used to. And
Mhm.
sometimes though, I've seen kids who maybe gagged on something and they're legit scared
Yeah.
about, with anything that is red.
Mhm.
Suddenly they don't want to touch it because they're legit scared that this thing is going to make them gag or choke.
Yes.
Or they could have eaten something that they're allergic to, but they can't tell you, oh, my throat is itchy. They
Yeah.
just see that and they see it as a threat and they're scared of it. Or it could be a kid who has sensory processing disorder, like most kids who have a diagnosis of autism. There may be a sensory component of it, where they look at that food. It's not food. It's like I don't know what it's gonna feel like in my mouth. Is it? So it's most of it. They're anxious about that new thing. Either they're not familiar or they've had some sort of history. And
Yeah.
as parents, we look at them like, you're going to clean up your plate.
Yeah.
You have to finish that food. And the poor kid is sitting there like, but I'm scared of it, legit. And that
Mhm.
increases over time. You can imagine how meal time is a battle. They don't want to eat anything. And then we give up and then we give them something that is sweet and salty, which, sweet and salty, everybody likes sweet and
Yeah.
salty. And then you end up with this kid where we're down now to just chicken nuggets, we're down now to fries, and that's the only thing that they accept. And then end up with that, and over time, that's all they feel safe with because they've not experienced any adverse events with that particular food.
That makes a lot of sense, especially because I know, because I have teenagers, but I remember when my son, he got sick, like right after he had eaten something. And then I'm sure it was the flu, but after that, he just completely was like, I never want to eat that again. And those were tacos. He was like, I will never eat another taco.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, because they got sick after the food, and now it's just like that is scary to me. I do not want to touch it. So you can fight all you want to, like you're gonna eat it. But the kid it's not defiance, right? Because a lot of times it's like you're just being defiant. No, the kid is legit scared about that food.
That is crazy. I never thought about that. That is, oh my gosh, that is so amazing. So how does anxiety and connection help? How do those two tie into each other?
So I will go back to how I started with this, right? So back, 2020, when there was a lot of COVID and a lot of things in the news, whether it's people dying, there's a lot of stress and stuff, right? Mm-hmm. And the way we talk around the kids as if they're not a part of this, they're experiencing this stress too. So we started seeing a lot of anxiety in kids. And then once you start looking past COVID, as a parent, sometimes it can be easy where I provide for you, I provide your food, I do everything, but I don't really sit down to connect with you to say, I see you. How are you processing this COVID pandemic? Oh, you've heard about all these people dying. There are kids who are legit scared that their parents are going to die, but then no one is really sitting there and talking to them because that's all you see on TV every day, all day. So we're not really connecting to say with those kids and say, like, how are you processing this trauma that is going on around the wall? So a huge rise in of stress and anxiety, and that lack of connection to help them understand what's going on, to help them close the loops and answer those questions that are running through their minds, but they can't really answer. They can't really ask. They don't understand how to ask, or even if they ask your child, don't worry about it. There's nothing for you to worry about. So they feel like they're not seen. And then I think a few years ago, they asked high school students what they would like for their parents to know, or their teachers to know. I want to say most of them said they would want for them to really see them, for them to be really seen and understood. Because we just go, we're doing, but we don't pause long enough to really connect and see them. Like, how are you processing this thing?
Yeah. Huh. That's interesting, because then I can see that going both ways. And then a lot of teenagers, they just don't want to talk. They have very few words to say. You might ask them today, and they'll just say, It's
learned behavior, right? If you've gone to that point, if you, as a child, you were always told, well, don't worry about it. I do everything for you. I don't allow your voice. I don't allow you to raise your voice. I don't allow your voice to be heard, or I don't really give you that opening, that room for you to provide feedback or be add value to the family. And then you reach the teenage stage. What do you think about it? I don't know, because I've not nurtured that. So for you to get to that point where you're starting to nurture it is to start building that connection and building that trust and building that relationship that it doesn't matter what I say, you are going to receive it and give me feedback.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because a lot of times they've gotten to that point because they're like, you don't see me, you don't understand me, we're in so different worlds. What I say doesn't matter. So I'm just going to say, why waste my time? Why bother? I'm just going to sit here, do what you want me to do, and then go back in my space.
Yeah. I still can see kids not wanting to do that. I know, like with my children, I've always talked to my children. They've always had that space. But I think sometimes they just are like, here's mom, she's going to want to talk again. Like, you know what I mean? So I think it kind of goes both ways, where sometimes they want to talk, sometimes they don't. But sometimes they'll have a very talkative day and you'll just be like, oh my God. Sorry, I asked. No.
Yeah. And I will also say I'm glad you brought that up, right? Because even with us, there's some days that I want to talk. There's some days where I don't want to be bothered too.
Yeah.
So it's respecting that we're like, I'm not asking for a parent to be this oh, every day I'm in your face. Like, what do you want to do? Like, let's talk. No. It's about understanding that each person is uniquely built. Each
Hmm.
person, the way you connect with one kid is different from the way you connect with another kid, right? But once you've built that connection, once you've built that trust, that sense of safety, you're at a place where you know that if your child is in trouble, they will call you first.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not going to call their friend somewhere.
Yes.
They are going
Absolutely.
to call you first. They're going to talk to you when they need to talk to you. And if they want to sit in the room and be there, and you can give them that space to sit in the room and be there, but you knowing that you've instilled in them those values that you know that even if they go online, because one thing online too, we're seeing a lot of cyberbullying, right?
Hmm.
We're seeing a lot of things that are going there. Have I taught my kid long enough that they know when to say no to someone who's trying to sell something to them online?
Yes. That makes so much sense. Sometimes people just don't want to be bothered, and that's
Yeah, there's some days where I come back from work, I'm like, don't talk to me, don't look at me. I just need to sit there and really find that space to fill my cup because I've emptied it all day.
yeah.
and,
That,
and a lot of times I need that in between before I can come back. I usually say I'm the person who needs time out in my house. Like,
yeah.
okay, mommy needs 30 minutes. I'm gonna sit in there, I'm gonna take a nice long shower, I'm gonna fill in my cup, and then I can come now and be with you, right? And I'm not raising my voice because you're clearly not my problem right now.
Yeah.
I'm just empty and everything irritates me.
Yeah. Everything irritates my mom. She used to do that to me and my brother when we were younger. She'd be like, just let me come home, open my mail. She was like, just leave me alone for a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. And then you can come back and then we talk and we can connect. But I cannot be dysregulated and expect that connection. But it goes the same for kids, right? Sometimes
Yeah.
they come back home from school, they've had a long day, they've had so much going on. And then you come in their face, like, how was your day? Tell me what happened. They don't
Yeah.
want to talk at that point, right? They're like, just leave me alone. Let me just sit in there. Let me kind of process it. And then I can come back and we can talk over dinner.
That makes so much sense because when my kids come home and I'm always usually hyper, I'm very outgoing and excited. So I'm always just like, hi. And they're just like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So now it makes sense. Because Lord knows there's times when I don't feel like being bothered with them. So
Yeah. Yeah.
that is too funny. So, Dr. Lim, tell me what made you get into pediatrics?
I have always, for as long as I could remember, I have always loved working with kids. And
Mhm.
even before medical school, I've always found that connection with kids. I'll go places, they're adults, and we find me with the kids, right?
Yeah.
And through residency, I enjoyed my pediatric rotation more than any other. So I felt like that's where I was meant to go, and that's where I was what I'm meant to do. And I still connect with the kids I see because there's some pureness with kids, right? There's
Mhm.
some very you take care of the kids, you tell them, they ask you so many questions, there's no boundaries, well, until they get to teenage phase. But you can see changes. You see them grow, you watch them grow, you watch them become, it's just amazing. So
Yeah. And so did you ever have any troubles with anxiety yourself?
with myself, I would say I was we didn't call it anxiety at that point. So I grew up in Cameroon. They don't believe in mental health. I
Yeah.
don't believe like, what do you mean you're anxious and stuff? But I grew up in a home where it was very strict, right?
Yeah.
And I found myself being that really shy, introverted, avoidance kind of person where
Mhm.
if it's too much, I run away from it. If I
Yeah.
even feel, I mean, there's not times when you have to sit there and you face it, but it's through sweat and it's through, you put in so much energy to do it. But I was the one who would just avoid because again, growing up, you're not allowed to speak up. You're the one who you sit there and finish your plate and don't say anything about it. You're
Mhm.
the one where people are talking, kids just sit there and listen and stuff. So I didn't really find my voice or that confidence to really speak until I
Yeah.
was an adult. And it took a lot of work, right? A lot
Yeah.
of personal walk, a lot of meditation, a lot of, digging deep to find out who am I? What am I meant to do? And am I doing what I'm meant to do? Am I going to be at the end of my rope to say, I actually fulfilled what I was called to do here?
Yeah.
So it took a lot of work to get to that point where, okay, if this is what I'm meant to do, then avoidance will not cut it.
Right. Yes.
Yeah. Being shy and hiding will not cut it. So, and that's why I really do what I do, because I want you to start like where I'm helping parents now who, spanking, don't have them. Why did they talk to you like that? Where we're reframing it and like, who are you? You're a unique person and you're under my care for a reason. How
Mhm.
can I nurture you? How can I raise you to become that person you were meant to be without naturally instilling my values in you or trying to tell you this is how you should be? This is how society wants you to be, right?
Yes. I love that. I think a lot of parents could really definitely benefit from learning that is each child is different, especially different generations is we're this way. This is the way that you should be. And kids these days, they don't do this. And it's just like trying to differentiate all the differences between each generation. And I think that can be difficult, but it's also,
And
yeah, it's like you really want to open and widen that knowledge as to how can we speak to different generations and actually get through to them.
right. And I'm even glad you brought the generations because I see parents, I see grandparents, right? I
Yeah.
see where there's like grandparent is saying, do this is what we did. And the parent is like, it doesn't work like that anymore. And then
Right.
someone is making excuses like, well, this is how we raise kids these days. But then it is legit hard, I would say. It is harder these days to raise kids because you're not only juggling with your community, your environment, there are no boundaries.
Yes. Yes.
No boundaries. You can say that this is what it is and stuff. But it's really, you have to really learn the tools. You have to really scratch. I mean, there's certain things that you still take from our parents' generations with the family values, the culture and stuff. We still want to bring that because you still want to have that community of people that will surround your kids, even though we don't have those physical boundaries. You want them to have enough people around them
Mhm.
that they can kind of see as examples. Like, look at that uncle there. He gets up, he goes to work. Look at that person there. This is how they to kind of have to, because we have to find people who can model to them. Like this, yes, we see all of that, but this is real life.
That's what's hard because with technology, you have AI, you have this, you have that. It's like the connection that you're speaking of, it's almost doing away with it. You know, no one really wants to talk on the phone anymore. Everyone wants to just text. It's like, what are your suggestions to kind of encourage more connection?
It has to be intentional.
Hmm.
It has to be it's not one of those things that will just fall in place.
Hmm.
So usually what I'll say is first have that. I remember I talked about family values, family culture. So you have to be very intentional about creating a culture in your family, whether it's having 10 minutes a day where you connect with your child at some point, right? Whether it's if you're a busy mom or busy throughout the day, it could be that dinner time where all screens go down at dinner time. It doesn't matter what. I've given you time to rest and do whatever, reflect on the day, decompress. But at mealtime, have that time, that thing where as a family, every evening or at least 3 times a week, we sit down together as a family and just have a meal together
I love that.
with no devices. That could be like then you connect. Then they can
Mhm.
really talk to you and really open up to you. Because the thing with teenagers is that if they don't feel safe around you, they're not going to open up to you. They will
Mhm.
not say a word because they don't trust that you would actually help them, or you may use that to compare them with some other kid or have this vague thing of what's normal or what's ideal, and they don't feel like they fit in that box, right?
Uh-huh.
So even start find just one meal a day, or if you can't have a meal a day, maybe 5 minutes before bedtime, just checking in and stuff like, hey, how are you doing? Oh, and sometimes it might take time. Everything worthwhile takes time, right?
Mhm.
Because what I've seen or what I've heard is parents will say, Well, I tried it one time. It didn't work. Yeah, because they don't trust that you will keep coming.
Right.
They don't trust that. I'm like, okay, who made what new thing are you trying now? I've had a kid who said because they're going to hear something new and then they come and try to implement it, and then the next week they're trying to find something else to come and implement it. Then the kid is just like, okay, what's this new thing you're trying to do now, and how long is it going to last?
Yeah. I definitely get that. Let's see, everything worthwhile will come. Like, I love that you said that. Because it is.
Yeah.
That's things that I have to remember to tell my children because they want things now, and it's just like I love hearing you say that.
Right, because it's a fast-paced world. Everybody
Mhm.
is selling something that is quick and easy. Weight loss, okay, lose weight in like 2 weeks and stuff.
Yeah.
And then someone who's been going to the gym is wondering, like, why is it not working for me? Why
Yeah.
is it working? Because how everything you can lose it in 5 weeks, but you're gonna regain it back, or you're gonna need to keep taking some medications that down the line may end up with different side effects and stuff. So
Yeah.
it just everything really it takes time, and it's that consistency, it's that patience that you build every single day, knowing that you're doing what you're meant to do, and knowing that down the line you will get that reward as long as you're consistent.
And then I think that's where also the anxiety comes in, is because when you don't get things quickly, then you get discouraged. And then
Right.
the anxiety comes. So then it's just
Anxiety comes, and then it's not working, and then
yeah.
you find something else. Okay, and then you see that commercial. Someone else says that, oh well, guess what? This is the new thing. This
Yeah.
worked for me and my kid. Take this new supplement, and then you go into it, right? And then
Mhm.
1 year down the line, you've tried 5 different things, 5 different supplements, 5 different products, and none of them are working. But
Right.
why is that? Because you were not consistent long enough, or you did not do it long enough with that one thing.
Yes. And
Yes.
I did have a specific question because I actually had a listener told me to ask.
Uh-huh.
Asked about cinnamon, like the benefits of cinnamon. Do you
Mhm.
know, are there certain benefits to adding cinnamon in all of your foods, or what is that?
Yeah, cinnamon actually helps with blood sugar, right?
Mhm.
So it actually, there's a lot of evidence about behind it with reducing blood sugar. Now, if you're someone who's a diabetic, you can add it. The thing with diabetes, cinnamon, and all of that, for you to know it's about really knowing the exact dose, one, and knowing the source of the cinnamon, two, right?
Mhm.
So, because it can actually, I've seen somewhere where it actually dropped to the point where the person was hypoglycemic.
Okay.
It is that effective with cinnamon. So
Wow.
typically maybe adding it in oatmeal for breakfast, just a teaspoon. And then you
Mhm.
can check your blood sugar a few minutes later and see how did that work for me? Because with everything that you're doing with any kind of treatment or anything you're trying, you want to make sure it's working well for you and you're not doing too much, right? So
Right.
if you use it, say, consistently for like a week at breakfast, and you see that if you're adding it, whether it's oatmeal, whether it's a cereal, whatever thing, whatever flavor you prefer, right?
Mhm.
Um, and check it, and you notice that it is helping control your blood sugar, and then go for it.
And then what's the preferred amount? Like, how much is too much?
So usually I'll say start small and go up. So that's why I say start with like a teaspoonful in a bowl of oatmeal. I
Mhm.
like oatmeal because it has fiber in it too. So
Okay.
because you were looking for something, you're finding that balance. The cinnamon is going to bring down your blood sugar, but you want to make sure you're putting it in a meal that has some sort of fiber, and you'll have some protein in there. So your blood sugar is not dropping too rapidly, but the fiber and the protein helps to maintain that balance. And you can check your blood pressure after and see. If you find that it's going down, but not down enough, you can go up to 2 teaspoons. But you don't want to just keep going without checking to see, because you can end up being in a place of hypoglycemia and having symptoms in that range. So it's something that you want to make sure, because every food is medicine, right? Just
Right.
like you take your insulin and you check your blood sugar after that, just to make sure that it's not too low, or see if it's working and titrate up or down. Same thing with cinnamon.
And does cinnamon help aid in weight loss as well?
Sometimes, but mostly because it's really controlling that blood sugar too.
Okay. Okay.
Yes,
That makes
yes.
sense.
Hmm.
And as far as we were speaking about the children, you have only a daughter, or do you have more children?
I have a daughter.
You have a daughter.
Yes.
Okay. And how's that with her? How is she handling the anxiety, the connection, or anything like that?
Oh, she's opposite. She's the one that I have to reel back. I'm like, okay, you're doing too much. Yeah. Well, so with my daughter, as she's an outgoing personality, very opposite from me, and
Mhm.
she's the one who will walk up and introduce herself. Hi, I'm this. This is my mom. She will introduce me to people. How are you doing and stuff.
Yeah.
But it didn't. I would say it started out that way. She was the clingy kid. She was the one who would cry when I go to work. But over time, I always make sure first I connect with her after work. You know, when she was younger, I'm like, I'm here and stuff. So we
Mhm.
spend a lot of time together. But when we go places, I allow her to lead. I'm behind her so she can go out there confidently, do whatever she wants to do, knowing that I'm right there behind her.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's safe. Um, and the other thing that I do that I recommend is that I she is my accountability person.
Mhm.
So I allow her to speak into my life too. So if I'm doing a workshop, she listens to some of them. And every now and then, I know I talk about healthy eating habits. I talk about eating and not eating when you're full.
Mhm.
Every now and then, as a parent, I don't want to throw my food out.
Right.
Right? And we've talked about it. And there was one time I was eating and I was full. And she
Mhm.
knew I was full because I told her that I'm full. But I'm like, it's just a little bit. I'm just gonna finish it instead of throwing it out. And
Yeah.
she's like, don't we stop when we're full, mommy?
Yeah.
You're still eating. Yeah. And they're great where once you start allowing them to use their voice and speak up to people of authority, you're raising a kid where if they get into that point where they're working and they can easily speak up when they see things that are wrong. You
Right.
don't want a kid who's hiding away. If there's something that's going on, we just hide back and complain about it and say how things are not working, how everything is working against me. Whereas that same kid can sit there and like, okay, you said this is how this is supposed to work. You're not holding your end to it. Like, how can we
Right.
make this work? So it's been a challenge, but every 5 minutes a day, 10
Mhm.
minutes a day, having them talk to you, having them hold you accountable, having them being a part of the planning. I say I plan on weekends. I'll say, okay, what do you want to eat this week? We'll go out shopping. We're going to pick one new fruit together. Sometimes we'll prep together. This is what we're going to eat. This are the meals we're going to eat. You have one Thursday evenings used to be the time. I'm trying to change that now.
Right.
That was our free week where you get to pick whatever place you want to eat out. Then you're making those choices, so you allow them to make choices within those boundaries that you put in, and that helps to improve their confidence, right? When they're going out there and they can talk to people because you've trained them at home, like, yeah, you can talk to people and it's not that scary.
Thank you. I really like that. And where are you located?
I'm in New York, Pennsylvania.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Okay. I did not know that.
Yeah.
Thanks. And first, did you have anything else that you wanted to add?
I want to say connection is really important
Mhm.
and calm is contagious, right?
Yes.
A lot of times when I see anxiety in kids and I look at the parent, they have some level of anxiety. The
Mhm.
kids co-regulate. They don't listen. They kind of feel our emotions. So when you're telling a kid that don't worry, you're fine, there's nothing to worry about, the kid is not hearing you, they're feeling you. They're feeling you. And once you don't tell them what's going on, that anxiety grows higher and higher. And then all those thoughts, have you been a place where you're in a place where you don't know what's happening, and
Mhm.
then your mind fills in with all kinds of crazy images
Yes.
and stuff.
Yeah.
So the thoughts get filled with crazy stuff, and then the anxiety gets bigger and bigger. So as a parent, not only modeling, but really trying to regulate ourselves first. That
Mhm.
way they can co-regulate. Because when you're calm, your kids can feel that calm. It is contagious. Then
Yeah.
they're calm enough for you to teach them.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
never thought about that.
Yes.
It's
Because you can't teach a kid who is going through a tantrum. If they're tantruming, they're doing whatever, that's not the time to really, they can't teach their learning and thinking brain is offline. It's like amygdala. It's just like, oh, there's a fire. It's like trying to
Mhm.
teach somebody when there's a fire. They're not listening to you. They're trying to run for safety.
Right. Yeah.
The fire alarm is going off. But in order to turn that off is for you to first model, regulate first, and then find that place of calm enough to teach them.
Yep, that makes sense. Because when I was younger, my mom, anytime I would like cry or something, she would just not ignore me, but she just wouldn't entertain it. And then she'd be like, "Okay, are you ready to talk?"
Yes. Because you're not going to hear anything that she said at that point. She could give you all the solutions to your problem at that point, but you are not hearing her.
Right? Yeah. So now it makes sense why she did the way she did. So,
Your mom was a wise woman.
yeah.
She is a wise woman. She's still here, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yes, she is a wise woman.
Yes, she is. And are you're still practicing, correct?
I'm practicing. Yeah, I'm currently working for WellSpan, and then outside of my daily practice, I do a lot of teaching on YouTube, and I wrote a children's book called The Worry Garden: Planting Seeds of Calm.
Okay, yeah, and I'll definitely be listing those down in the show notes. But what's the website again?
My website is drlummd.com.
Mm-hmm.
And then the YouTube channel is Kids Nutrition and Healthy Habits. Yeah, and then the book is The Worry Garden. I think I sent those to you. Maybe
You did.
I'll send it to you. Yes.
Yeah, you did. You
And the book is The Worry Garden: Planting Seeds of Calm, and that's still another thing that I usually would say, even reading with the kids, right? Even if it's reading a book about it, really, I started out the book because I talk a lot about picky eating and foods that are not familiar, fear. It was just about this little girl Luna who every time at dinner table that she didn't want to eat because she had tummy hurt because she was really legit scared about trying new food. So really talking through her feelings and how grandma came in, the other generation, and who was the wise grandma who came in and helped, but through that gardening phenomena, just because once you plant seeds, you're not going to get a fruit immediately, right?
Right.
When you plant seeds, you still have to nurture your gardens. You still have to pull off the weeds. You have to make sure that the garden is good enough for it to grow. And it takes time, but eventually you will get that fruit. So, but I love it because the mother can read it, child can read it. You can really open room for connections, open room for conversations about that. Mm-hmm.
I love that. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I feel that that's not just for children. I feel, even adults can learn from something like that. So,
right.
And if there was one piece of advice that you could give the listeners, what would it be?
I would say give yourself grace. Give yourself a whole lot of grace. Nobody has this figured out. No, there's no child that comes in with a manual. They're all different. Even if you have 5 of them, it's still different. It's still new. But you just want to give yourself grace and understand that you don't have all the questions. And I don't know is good enough. We'll figure it out. I talk to my kid about it all the time. There sometimes I'm like, Mommy, you don't know the answer? Yeah, I don't know the answer, but we'll figure it out. It doesn't mean that no is the end. No is like we have a learning gap here. And how about we figure this out together? Another opportunity to connect. And sometimes it's like, oh, I have an idea. Let me show you this. Yeah. So just give yourself grace. Know that we don't have to have all the answers, but our kids are there to help us. Our kids are there as members of a team. We're not meant to carry the load by ourselves. Sometimes we want to carry the family like this, right?
Right.
But they're supposed to just connect and hold hands together. We're moving forward together. So give yourself grace. Your children are assets. If you allow them to flourish, you would see that they're the answers you're looking for everywhere else.
Thank you for that. You are a wealth of knowledge. I love that. It's been very informative. So I greatly, greatly appreciate you and coming on.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
All right, everyone. Again, I'm Robin Black. This is Dr. Loom. And this is It's All About Healing podcast. Everyone stay blessed.